Then the second thing is about the deity. How to relate to the deity. Now here, when we talk about the deities, basically there are different levels of practice that in involvement of deity will be there. In very basic Buddhist practices, involvement of deity, like if we accept Buddha as a deity, of course, then the involvement of Buddha is like a very common great teacher of us, all of us. So in a very common Buddhist practice, how we should relate ourselves to the Buddha. Buddha is a very common teacher of all of us. So we should learn his teachings. After learning his teachings, we should apply those instructions, apply those values, what he has taught in his books, in our life. Of course, we should pay respect to him, do prostrations, do some offerings, and take his life as a model for our life, to live our own life. To do that, it is important that we should learn, we should know the life story of the Buddha. Who was Buddha? How he was born, to whom he was born, and how he was raised up, and what happened, the incidents and the circumstances that he decided to give up the family life, and what kind of life he had after giving up the family, and how he achieved the Buddhahood, and how did he dedicate it, the rest of his life, towards the spreading of his teachings, his findings, his those realizations, whatever he learned, whatever he found. So all those things we need to learn. If we learn those things, we can take a lot of inspiration from his life. It's very important to do that. We need to understand that, like in a very brief manner, we need to understand that Buddha was a crown prince of one state. Of course, I think, though he was a crown prince of one small kingdom, those kingdoms may be much more kind of smaller compared to the business conglomerate of this era, you know. But basically, in that era, as a crown prince of such a kingdom, I think definitely he may lead a very, very comfortable material life. But Buddha realized that the material wealth is not the ultimate source of happiness. To get everlasting happiness, he needs to find it somewhere else than his kingdom and wealth and all those status and all those things. Those are not going to provide him ultimate everlasting health, everlasting benefit, everlasting happiness. So he realized it. I think he's realizing that shows how intelligent and wise he was at that age, then because of that motivation and that kind of feeling, he went into the search of the truth. He left the family. Of course, I believe that he definitely loved his wife and kid and parents and all of them, but just saying that I love them is not an enough and good reason to avoid doing what he did. So he renounced the world and he went into the search of truth. And finally, he found the truth and meditated on it, practiced it, lived it, and as a result of that, he achieved or discovered the kind of source of everlasting ultimate happiness. After being the Buddha, he was invited again and again by his dad to come back to his kingdom and rule the state, but he never went back. So he was dedicated, committed, and I believe he never had any kind of regret for whatever he did. And the rest of his life, he just dedicated to spread whatever teaching he discovered, whatever path he discovered. So, from that kind of Buddha's lifestyle, we need to take example. We need to use that as a role model for ourselves. When I say role model for ourselves, I don't mean that all of you have to give up your family life and then go out to the monks and nuns. The importance is to find the source of everlasting happiness somewhere out of the material world, inside the mind itself, not in the matter. That is the most important thing that Buddha taught us, and we need to learn that. The very basic common approach when Buddha was alive was also same. Even today it is also same. The very basic common human approach is, if I have enough money, I will be happy. When Buddha was alive, people were thinking that. I think today, people are thinking that. That hasn't changed at all. But is that a truth or is that a reality? That we need to think about. Everyone feels like that. If I will be rich, I will be happy. I'm not happy because I don't have enough money. Is that the reality or not? People never think about that part. People just think up to this point. But if it is like that, then how could Buddha be happy? He didn't own any money. After he became Buddha, of course he didn't own money. He didn't have his own state. He didn't have anything. He was living a life of mendicant. How could he be happy? How could a kind of great yogi like Milarepa be happy? He was living in a cave with nothing even to eat for. He was just surviving on nettles. So how could he be happy? So he didn't own anything. It's very, very kind of, provable that the happiness is not just in the matter, and the material. It is lying somewhere else. But this is a very, very mistaken notion that the whole world is living on. But of course, we have to understand that as long as a human being needs to survive, yeah, there is a certain degree of need of material supply. That is something that we need to understand. And Buddha also survived on that. But what was the source of his material supply? He was always begging, going for alms, and whatever is given to him, he was just living on that. And that was giving him enough physical energy to survive, and he lived up to the age of 80. That even 2,500 and some years ago, when medical facility and everything was kind of no way comparable to what we are enjoying today. So it's very important to understand that way. So I don't mean that tomorrow onward all of you go and become a nun or monk or something like that. We need to compare that. We need to understand the essence of the message with understanding that we need to look for the happiness somewhere else where we really get it, rather than looking for the happiness in somewhere else that everyone is searching for. So this is a wrong, mistaken notion that whole world is driven by. So basically in the Buddhist, basic Buddhism, if we talk about the deity, so this is one way how to relate the Buddha into one's own life. Now, if you go beyond that, in the Mahayana teachings, there are a whole lot of deities, like Tara, Manjushri, and like Kuan Yin, and all those things. How to relate with that? In Mahayana tradition, Tara have a specific symbolism behind it. Manjushri have a specific symbolism behind it, and Kuan Yin has its own specific symbolism behind it. So in general approach in Mahayana tradition is you can visualize the deity in front of you. You can visualize the deity in front of you and do the mantra recitation and visualize that the deity is emanating rays of light, which in fact in reality are kind of which in reality are the energy. Like in the case of Manjushri, that is the energy of infinite wisdom. In the case of Tara, it is energy of infinite action. In the case of Kuan Yin, it's the energy of infinite compassion and loving kindness. So it's coming towards you in the form of rays of light, and it dissolves in your body, and by that you receive those energies. So when you receive those energy, of course there are some commitment. If you receive a kind of energy of infinite compassion and loving kindness, you have to live with those things. In one hand, you visualize receiving that infinite energy of loving kindness and compassion. At the other hand, you scold your friend and you fight with your friend. That doesn't make any sense. You won't be compassionate to them, so that doesn't make any sense. To make those energy manifest in your life, you need to change yourself. You need to change your lifestyle. You need to try to be more compassionate. So that is one way to live the relationship, how to build up a proper relationship with the deity. And in the case of compassion, like when you visualize Manjushri in front of you, receiving those infinite energy of Manjushri in form of rays of light. Now, after that, you go out there, you don't care about wisdom, you don't learn anything, you just keep spending your time in wasting anything, you don't learn and you don't focus on acquiring the wisdom. That is not the right approach.